Hi, I'm Cheryl Wilkerson, and we are broadcasting today live from the L. Douglas Wilder Performing Arts Center. We are here for the U.S. senatorial debate. I'm from the Blazing Hot 91 show, and today my guest is Dr. Olusoji Akomolafe, Executive Director and co-founder of CAMP. Tell us why CAMP is so important. Why did you come up with this idea for this great policy-making institute?
And I was going to twist, thank you very much, first of all, Cheryl, for having me. But I was going to twist that question around. Like, I wonder why we didn't have it 10 years ago. I wonder why we didn't have it 15 years ago. This was an idea that, the time had not only come, we should have done it. And when I say we, I'm not even talking of Norfolk State alone, but every HBCU. Now, not every HBCU can have a Center for African American Public Policy, but I thought about this thing because I was so tired of people telling our stories on our behalf. There are certain things that if I'm talking about you, there are certain nuances that I will miss. There's certain interpretations that I would, use because they suit my purpose, not your purpose. And I don't want to make this a black and white issue, but in America, your story is your story.
So why not make it a black and white issue? It is what it is.
See, now I'm political science, so I got to be politically correct.
No, you don't. You're free with us. You are totally free with us.
Because sometimes, and when you listen to all the, centers talk about African American issues, whether it's healthcare, whether it's housing, whether it's education, some of these stories are so distorted. And I'm thinking, have you ever lived in their neighborhood before?
Is that done intentionally? Is that a lack of ignorance? What is that?
It's a combination of both. But more often than not, it is done intentionally. Now, there are some people, and well-educated people, well-meaning people, who, I'll give you an example, and may he so rest in peace, because he was a very good man. When McCain, during that, campaign, when he was defending Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama,
oh, yes,
that said, no, he's not an Arab. I've known him. He's a very good man. He's a family man. So he cannot be an Arab because he's a good man, because he's a family man. What that means is that Arab cannot be very good family men. They cannot be good people. He didn't mean it.
And if you said that to him, he would have looked at you like, what are you talking about? I did not mean that at all.
And Lord knows he probably did not mean it. But those are the nuances that I was talking about, that when people tell our story, they miss those nuances. And you know what? I work with them. I live with them. I'm part of them. There is no way I can miss such nuances. And America needs to be told that story, not missing any of those nuances. That's one of the reasons why I decided that we need a Center for African American Public Policy to tell our story, period.
So the center, I think what you're telling me or teaching me is really the center is not just needed on the campus of Norfolk State or at every HBCU. This center is needed worldwide.
This center is needed worldwide. I'm young enough to remember the days of Pan-Africanism, where when you talk about black, it's not just in America, it's black in Africa, it's black in Jamaica, it's black. We don't have that anymore. Our students not even, it's so funny because when you ask students some of these things, you find out that knowledge that they need so badly, it's not there. It's not their fault. It is not their fault because when they were in high school, unless when you're talking about Black History Month, I teach African studies. And trust me, you'll be surprised how many students, and I'm talking black and white, it's not because they're not smart, but you'll be surprised how many of them think that Africa is a country.
But the first teachers are parents.
And they are, just like I am. And what I just said, my son is also guilty of that, okay? And the reason why I said that is that, and I know my son, okay? I want to bring this a little bit back to the center. And the way I make that connection is when you talk about African American issues, the first thing that comes to your mind should be policy. I like us to go on the street and march. But when we do that, it's like putting the cart before the horse. The horse is supposed to drive the cart.
So we should set up a policy and then drive the policy.
We can have 10,000, 100,000 people on the street every Monday, every Tuesday. If you don't go to Richmond and turn those things into policy, that's what we're going to have, just a march on the street.
Am I going to Richmond as a lawmaker or am I going to Richmond as a concerned citizen?
Both, but as a concerned citizen, because what we do in the center is actually to influence policy in Richmond. What we do in the center is to give voice to those people who are marching on the street, because march is just half of the job, and the other half of the job, which is the more important one, is actually when whatever it is that you're demanding on the street is turned to policy in Richmond. And to get from point A to B, you need figures, you need facts,
Correct.
you need research, and that's where the center comes in. I would love to see things on the front page of Virginia Pilot and Wavy 10. Of course, Blazing Heart, and these are services that are needed. But at the end of the day, and I can't stress this enough, at the end of the day, if none of those things turns to policy, I don't want to call it a waste of time, but if anybody has a better phraseology, I'd be glad to hear it.
And so, give us final words on the upcoming election and the importance of voting.
Yes, where we are today, the center, true to its mission, we're giving people in Hampton Roads, not just in Hampton Roads, because this is going to be broadcast all over the Commonwealth, in all the stations where we have affiliates of Wavy 10, and of course, my dear 91.1. We are giving voters in the Commonwealth the chance to meet the candidates, the chance to hear their views on the issues, but more importantly, the choices that they will make when it comes to policies. You will see that in some of the questions that are being asked.
Yes.
These questions are questions that affect African Americans.
Yes.
These are questions that we all discuss on our kitchen tables. If we don't have the center, we will have an event like this. And this event, please, should not be underestimated. Because once this is over, it's going to be in the minds of the candidates. And by gosh, I wish some of the things that we're going to be talking today will be translated one day in a very near future into policies. And when that happens, if that happens, we're on a very good way to fulfilling our mission.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.